The council will come to order. Rory, roll call please.
Andrew.
Here.
Me here. Rebecca, not here. Raymond. Here. Julia.
Here.
Sally.
Here.
Scott. Jennifer.
Here.
Aaron. Here. Will. Tyler. Scott. Shaylin here. Rebecca.
No.
Not here. Dwight.
Here.
Hannah.
Here.
Sammy. Radhika. Janelle.
Here.
Brittany.
Here.
Alex. Here. Savannah.
Here.
Lauren.
Here.
Ellen. Cameron. Nick. Here.
All right, thank you, Rory. As the meeting minutes were sent out from last week, I would entertain a motion to waive the reading of minutes. Julia,
I move to waive the reading of the minutes.
there's a motion for waive the reading of minutes. Is there a second? Seconded by Brittany. Are there any questions to word or point of discussion? Seeing that there are none, we'll be moving into voting. All those in favor of waiving the reading of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing as such, the motion passes. So next we'll be moving into the approval of the minutes. Are there any such motions? Julia,
I move to approve the minutes.
there's a motion on the floor to approve the minutes. Is there a second? Second by Hannah. Are there any questions to the wording or points of discussion? Seeing that there are none, we'll be moving into voting. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing as such, the motion passes. Alright, so next we'll be moving into public comments. There will be a lot of opportunities to speak later in the meeting, so we'll skip that for now and move into financial matters with the grant committee report. Aaron?
Yeah, I need to allocate $200 to study abroad. They're doing a taste of abroad event, which basically sounds like they're just cooking food and having freshmen and sophomore students come and it's kind of an info session about studying abroad and different student experiences. I'm not sure if someone's here to talk on it, if you want to speak a little on the event.
That's basically it. We want to have return study abroad students cook dishes from the country they went to, and then help, I guess, get new perspectives, but study abroad students come in and taste them and learn about the country and all
Yeah,
that.
so the money's for the ingredients. That was a very cool event, and it'd be a great thing for work. I'm just studying abroad, it's very cool, and it's a good thing that works for Christmas.
The motion on the floor is to allocate $200 to study abroad. Is there a second? Second by Ray. Are there any questions to the word or points of discussion? Hannah?
Does the department get funding, or do they just get?
I mean, the study abroad office does have funding, but they don't have funding for these sort of events.
Okay.
Is what we've been told.
Also, when do you?
April 12th.
Okay.
Are there any further? Aaron?
We'd also need a few waivers and for all of the classes.
Are there any other points of discussion? Seeing that there are none, we'll be moving into voting. All those in favor of allocating $200 with a food waiver from Q4 to study abroad, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing as such, the motion passes.
Move to allocate $87 to Clark Geography. This is for the AAG conference. This is something we funded both this semester and last semester for separate students. The geography department, from what I understand, funds most of it, but then there's some leftover costs and some students got left out of the funding from the geography department. So this is extremely small relative to the requests we usually receive, so we like to, I don't know if someone's here talking it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was here last semester, and it's basically just the registration. It's for registration fee costs for the AAG, which is a conference. People go and represent that. And just we had after everyone registered, we found out that there was a mix-up over the cost, and it was slightly more than we expected, so that's what the $87 is, just an additional cost of registration for, I think, 3 of the 4 students.
All right, so the motion on the floor is to allocate $87 from quarter 4 to collect geography. Is there a second? Second by Julia. Are there any questions to the word or points of discussion? All right. No? All right. Seeing that there are none, we'll be moving and voting. All those in favor of allocating $87 from quarter 4 to Clark Geography, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing as such, this motion passes. And
Move to allocate $325 out of quarter 4 to Beyond Air. Beyond Air is a new group on campus. They're holding an event that is, from what I understand, is basically just a discussion. They win the money for cupcakes and various different types of finger food, and for a speaker as well. And usually we don't fund a ton of food as the event is. A lot of it is kind of food-based. We want to fund it as much as we can, so we recommend they go to PCF as well to cover it. The other cost for food, and if they go to speakers forum to cover the cost for the speaker. So our money would go towards decorations and making sure that they can advertise and reach out to the student body as they need, and for food as well. We definitely, they're a new group, this is the first year, and we want to make sure that the event is possible. So I don't know if someone wants to speak on it, if I missed anything.
Yeah, this is our first event, and we're a group that just wants to like empower women and bring women who want to become natural hair together. And so this is our first event, which is why we don't have an annual budget. And so it's April 20th.
so the motion on the floor is to allocate $325 from quarter 4 to Beyond Hair. Is there a second? Second by Julia. Are there any questions to the word and points of discussion? Julia?
Can you tell us a little more about the event? Like, who's the speaker you want to bring?
Yeah, the event is called Cupcakes Club and Conversation. And so it's our launch event for the club. The club is going to be somewhat like a support group, but also just it's not like a meet every week club. It's just monthly events to bring women together. And so this event, we want to have a speaker. One can't remember her name, I'm sorry. But she's a professor at the Harvard Community College. Not Harvard, Hartford Community College. And so she's going to come and just speak about the politics and culture around here and give us a little background for the club. But we're inviting women from the consortium and women around campus to come and discuss and enjoy.
Lori?
Can I get your name for the minutes?
Jamesa Rucker, Jameesa. Rucker, Rucker.
Cool, thanks.
All right, are there any other points of discussion? Seeing that there are none, we'll be moving into voting. All those in favor of allocating $325 from quarter 4 to Beyond Hair, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing as such, this motion passes. Aaron?
This request, for some reason, Harris, who writes the write-up was left off, but it's for Jacqueline Graham. This $100 out of quarter 4 so she can go to a conference in student house. It covers transportation to New York in the subway. You can speak on the event a little bit more, it's for IDC majors. So.
Basically, it's a conference about social movements among diasporas of color. So that's like Africa, the Caribbean, Latino, and Asia. And it's a conference that's organized through the Black and Caribbean Student Association at SUNY New Paltz, and we have a professor at Clark University who's going to be speaking. I talked to the IDC department, but they can't fund a bus because there's not a lot of people going, and I'm one of the people who's presenting at the conference.
All right, $700. All right. So the motion on the floor is to allocate $100 from quarter 4 to Jackie Graham for the SUNY conference. Is there a second? Second by Hannah. Are there any questions to the word in response to discussion? All right, seeing that there are none, we'll be moving into voting. All those in favor of allocating $100 from quarter 4 to Jackie Graham for the SUNY conference, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing as such, this motion passes. Aaron?
Move to allocate $356 out of report to the right. This was also left off of the write-up. This is for a conference at Yale University. The costs cover the registration fee and transportation for people. Speak on that.
So basically, the conference provides like a grant for students from different campuses to partake in like a holistic approach of learning about like African development and conflict resolution and like peace efforts, and also like to acquire basic tools to effect change in different countries. And we hope to like bring back information to help like the CASA like group on campus, so we believe that conferences like this could take place on CASC campus. So.
Alright, so the motion on the floor is to allocate $356 from Q4 to Delight for the Yale Conference. Is there a second? Seconded by Jennifer. Are there any questions to the wording or points of discussion? Alright, seeing that there are none, we'll be moving to voting. All those in favor of allocating $356 from Q4 to Delight for the Yale Conference, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention. Go let you to abstain. Alright, seeing as such, motion passes. Aaron? No? Alright, thanks. Alright, so next we're moving down the agenda into the Finance Committee report. Seeing that Scott's not here, Ray?
I motion to approve the 2013-2014 annual budget report.
Alright, so the motion on the floor is to approve the 2013-2014 annual budget report. Is there a second? Seconded by Delight. Are there any points of, questions to the wording or points of discussion? Ray, would you like to explain the committee's procedure and process?
So the finance committee worked really hard on this. So basically all requests were due, just to give you a simple basic procedure, the fundamentals of it. All the requests were due before spring break. And it basically took them 2 weeks to look through all 101 requests and allocate a fair amount to each. Obviously, there's a finite number of money inside the pool. So the total request that they got was, like all the clubs asking altogether, the total amount was $560,978.88. And the club, so we had $379,000. So obviously, a lot of clubs didn't get the full amount that they requested for. So after going through discussions inside the committee, they emailed groups with their initial recommendation, and those who wanted to appeal the initial recommendation had to appeal by Monday, March 25th. 11 clubs appealed, which was divided into 2 days. So after the 11 clubs appealed, the finance committee worked for 2 days basically to see how much money they should reallocate to those 11 clubs that did appeal. So they emailed all the 11 clubs for their second recommendation, and after all this long process that occurred, there's $2,840 left to allocate right now. So that's the money that is untouched right now at this moment. So just to give you a little notes on like why certain money was given to certain clubs and weren't given to certain clubs, etc. Just a little logistics on it. First of all, they went with a really conservative approach to clubs with that were new. So new clubs, they were much more conservative with allocating a certain amount of money to it. And sometimes for some of the clubs, they did not receive the full amount because they had late submissions, and it was not Clark University Student Council recognized. So if you submitted late, or if you did not, were not recognized by the Student Council, there's a huge chance that you did not receive the full amount that you requested. And they tended to fund events that succeeded in the past. So the clubs that had a very large success rate in the past few years, they usually got pretty much priority over the money. And that's pretty much it for, that's it.
Okay. So the motion on the floor right now, just to kind of, clearly explain what's going to happen, is to allocate these base budget allocations to these clubs. Whether council chooses to approve or approve or not, the question the question at hand that we'd be voting on first is to approve these budgets. The finance committee left $2,840 unallocated. So the hope was that we could then council can then choose how to allocate those remaining funds to the groups who are further appealing. So that's what the kind of our plan is today. So are there any points of discussion right now? Julia?
Can you repeat or maybe write on the board the number of how much money we have left?
Right, it's $2,840.
Okay.
It's currently unallocated by the committee.
Thank you.
It's like the last page of this packet.
Yeah.
It's kind of highlighted at the bottom.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay. Thank you.
So are there any further points of discussion, Hannah?
Just out of curiosity, what is prestigio or prestigio?
It's the yearbook, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Number one, why is it that some organizations were not given any money, like High and Clark Bars?
Ray, would you like to explain? Or? As you can see on the last page of this packet, and where it says the appeal amounts, Clark Bars did receive after they appealed the allocation, the recommendation 0. They were recommended to be allocated $1,500.
Okay, what about the other ones?
Fine.
I'm assuming for one of the reasons is that, as Scott has put on my notes, is that clubs that weren't recognized by CUSC not get money, and that is one club that is not CUSC recognized. And obviously, to find that budget, we have to be very conservative with how much we allocate to the club.
Lori.
A couple of clubs missed the deadlines, and so just by rule, you can't give them money because they missed the deadline, but obviously they're active clubs on Clark, so they had to wait till field to get the money and field for the fields.
Okay.
Clark Stars and ice hockey both missed deadlines and got money.
Okay.
Alright, are there any other points of discussion? Seeing that there are none, we'll be moving into voting. All those in favor of approving the 2013-2014 annual budget report, please say aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing as such, this motion passes. Alright, so first, what's gonna happen next is, because Ellen has to leave, and we want to maintain quorum and keep this meeting going, so we wanted to end it. We're required to have 3 judiciary members here. Alright. I quickly spoke with Mike before the meeting, and he said that he'd be willing to join judiciary committee, so we can have the required amount of people to keep the meeting going. So, yeah, and he said he was down for it, so I'm now going to need Mike to open office and say yes at the end. Which one was the bottom one? Alright, so, might just say I do at the end. I do solemnly affirm that I will faithfully ensure the integrity of the Constitution and bylaws of the Clark Undergraduate Student Council. I will discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as a member of the Judiciary Committee under the Constitution and bylaw of the Clark Undergraduate Student Council without bias to any person or organization. All right, awesome. Right, Hannah.
I was gonna move for a moderated caucus. Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
Okay, I move for a moderated caucus to discuss the appeal process.
Okay. So the motion on the floor is to move into a moderated caucus to discuss the rest of the allocations. Is there a second? Second by Brittany. Are there any questions to the wording or points of discussion?
Could you explain what a moderated caucus
Right,
is?
yes. So a moderated caucus is basically an opportunity for council to move into a slightly more free discussion of how we're going to allocate the remaining $2,840 to the 5 clubs that are here to appeal the Finance Committee's recommendation. So at this, during this process, counselors will be able to, present different, funding packages or, what you call like funding deals where, they'll say like how much of, the remaining funds that you, want to allocate to each club, whether you want to, allocate it, clean, evenly across the board or, certain clubs get certain amounts based on, certain decisions or certain beliefs. So that's the point of, and then we'll kind of, whittle down our decision to one plan through the process through straw poll voting, and then we'll move back into official voting and approve of one final plan of how we're going to allocate those funds. So that's the kind of the point of a moderated caucus. So seconded. Are there any other further questions to the wording or anything? All right, seeing that there are none, we'll be moving into voting. All those in favor of moving into a moderated caucus, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, seeing that there are none, this motion passes. All right, so we have Rory was able to speak to the clubs in the audience who are appealing the community recommendation. So if there's anybody else in the audience who's in a different club from one of these and wants to request further funding, just say your name if it's not on the list. We have the equestrian team, ACS, Quidditch, High, and ESP. Is there anybody else? All right. So that's everybody. We have those 5 groups. So now this is everyone's opportunity to discuss where they want to see where or how they want to see the $2,840 allocated to. So are there any suggestions, points of discussion? Julia?
Could we have all the groups say what they do quickly?
Sure.
Why we should give them the money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys can just stand up one by one and say your group and kind of explain like what you guys do.
All right, so most of you know us by now. We're here a lot. We're here for Clark University's Club Quidditch team. We have a team of, 12 right now?
Due to injuries.
Yeah, we've had a couple of small injuries, him included, but we're good. We'll be good in a couple weeks. We're expecting a lot of incoming freshmen to join because we've had a lot of interest. As of right now, you guys have recommended that we get $2,838. And we were granted for this semester as part of mid-semester budget requests $2,170 without using all of that. And we actually need as bare bones for next semester $3,700 because our main and at this point only cost is traveling. We have a minimum of 8 games that we need to travel to over the course of the year. It's about $400 a trip plus one final conference game plus $100 as dues to our conference. So that totals up to $3,700. And without that, we risk being barred from our conference, which will severely limit our capacity to compete. And as Andy's on the board of that conference, he can explain a little bit more about that.
We're looking to expand the conference we're in from its current form of 7 teams to over 12 teams. We're looking to include Harvard, UMass Amherst, Wellesley and Smith, as well as Yale. And as part of including these teams, we'd also be going to play games at these teams, or play games at these schools. And as part of that, our operating costs do go up because our entire budget is now just traveling to ensure that we can get to all of our games. And there's no way for us to consolidate the schedule in any way because of breaks and accounting for weather, because we've already had a ton of problems this year with all of the weather in February. Yeah, and then Western Connecticut, who was on the conference this year, will not be coming back because they can't travel anywhere and because we cannot all afford to play all of our games at Western Connecticut, and it's just such a liability to the entire conference.
So basically, if we don't get enough money to travel, we're going to get kicked out of the conference and not be able to compete, which would be very sad for everybody.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, next group.
So, we're, all of us are from Asian Culture Society. Our initial request to the student council was $3,000. Council then recommended $1,700. So now we're asking for another $300, making our total for the 2013-2014 school year. Our budget would be $2,000. ACS is one of the fewest cultural groups on campus. We represent a good chunk of the Clark population, the Clark's Asian population in general. We've always been an integral part of the Clark community. We've been around since 1987. Basically what we do is we provide an avenue for Clarkies of Asian and non-Asian heritage to have a way to learn about one another's cultural traditions, heritages, etc. This past year we hosted a total of 9 events, including our biggest one being the Lunar New Year dinner, which we had over 50 people in attendance. We also had various performers come as well. We've also hosted various events about social issues affecting the Asian community as a whole. For instance, last month we hosted an event called Coming Out Asian and LGBTQ, where we invited representatives from the Queer Asian Pacific Islander Alliance to come and talk about their experiences being Asian and LGBTQ. That alone was $500, which fortunately we were able to collaborate with Speakers Forum. But my point is, at the end of the day, is in order for us to do these events and put on more events at a bigger level, invite more people, invite speakers, then we need to have a bigger budget in order to carry this out. And I think that being like one of the biggest culture groups on campus, we deserve at least $2,000. And our events this year have reflected our capabilities to put on diverse and fun programming for the community.
Okay. Hannah.
What was your budget for this year?
$1,300.
Okay.
Thank you. Next group. Equestrian, where's it go?
So we're the equestrian team. We compete intercollegiately against 10 other teams in our region. We have about 10 shows per season, plus regionals for whoever qualifies, plus zones for whoever qualifies after regionals. And this year we have had 8 girls qualify for regionals, and we have our wonderful trophies to prove that. We qualified for zones as well. 3 of our girls did. And we have tried to increase our on-campus presence. We had a bingo night, and we are attempting to co-sponsor with CUSC to do a movie night. We lesson every week. We have fundraised to kind of pay off any debts that we have, but at the same time, equestrian is a very expensive sport, and each member pays about $1,000 out of pocket every year, even given the budget that we had. And although we do realize that we do have a larger budget this year, we do want to expand our team. There are about 11 members right now, and we've had interest from increasing numbers over the years, and to be a more competitive team that we're trying to be, and clearly have been, and to be just a more respected team in our region, and a bigger presence on campus. We need to have a bigger budget to be able to fund more riders.
Yes, we do get a lot of interest every year from girls, but once they hear about the money, like how much they'll have to pay each semester, many of them don't come back, which is understandable, because not everyone has $1,000 extra to pay a year. And we try to fundraise, but it would be really helpful if you guys could give us a little extra money to find some more girls for the team.
And guys, we do have interest from guys, but they also usually are not able to make the funding requirements. And from our fundraising that we've done this year alone, we made just over $1,000 through Yankee Candle sales and chocolate sales. But that doesn't really cover a lot once it's spread out among the team.
How much ideally are you looking for?
Sorry.
How much ideally are you looking for, like, the other clubs
Well,
are given a...
That's an interesting question. We did our budget out, ideally paying everything for our team, paying everything for our team without anyone having to pay out of pocket for Sean Sullivan when we were talking to him about becoming varsity, and that's not really an option anytime in the near future. But what we came up with was about $28,000. But we have requested this year 10,000, which would at least give us a little more wiggle room to get a few more numbers onto the team.
Thank you. Lady representative of ESP like to talk?
That would be me. I'm just going to, sorry about this. All right, my name's Ethan Goldstein. I'm the treasurer, and next year I'm going to be the head of the Educational Studies Program, or ESP. What we do is essentially events, they're called Splash. We do them one per semester, where we invite middle and high schoolers from around Worcester and from as far away as Boston and the Berkshires. Like, anyone can come from anywhere. It's just like mainly we focus on Worcester. And we invite them to come to a day of classes taught to them by Clarkies on just a huge variety of subjects. We actually have Quidditch teaching classes. I myself am teaching classes in genomics, in lyrics writing, in video broadcast journalism. CCN is also sponsoring filmmaking classes. It's a huge variety. We have like pretty much an entire philosophy department showing up. It's pretty cool, actually. Anyways, so the thing is, this is a very major program, and while we do it once per semester, we're also hoping to expand what ESP can do. See, the idea of the Educational Studies Program is more than just running Splash. It's running sort of any big event that, while seemingly educational in nature, is also fun and creative and, allows students to express themselves. One event we've gotten interest for but currently don't have the funding for is to do a model stock market in Tilton using projectors to set up all the stock market feeds. And unfortunately, something like that would be very expensive to run. And the problem is, we don't want to have to compromise our flagship program, Splash. We want that to be able to expand while still leaving us the funding to run like lectures in Tilton, as well as this giant stock market event, which I think is going to be really awesome if we can do it. And so we currently have been allocated $1,500, which is the same as we got for this semester, and that's for the whole year. And that is barely covering expenses now. We've had to double dip into the PCF fund. Next year, if we get more students signed up, which we're hoping for, we may have to triple dip into it. So we're hoping for a few hundred extra dollars. I've placed ideally like 600 or up to 1,000 to allow us to branch out into other programs while still having a chance that Splash will destroy our budget.
Okay. Thank you. There's a member of High here.
I think they left.
Okay. So,
Election is in person.
right.
Well, I mean, we're gonna. No.
All right.
Okay, then they will be back to it.
All right, so we can. after all the groups have had an opportunity to speak, the total of funds that they're appealing for, total $3,754. And we only have 2,840 to allocate. So I'd like to hear, points of discussion from councilors and, any plans, anybody has to allocate funding.
I would like to move to recess for a few minutes so we can think to ourselves. For like 3 minutes.
There's a motion for a 3-minute recess. Is there a second?
I'm not.
Yes, no?
Sure, yes.
Yes. All right, so it's been seconded by Will. Are there any questions for the wording or points of discussion, Ethan?
As somebody who is going to be the subject of some of these discussions, I would prefer that if council is going to be discussing this, it be a matter of public record. I don't see why it's not why we shouldn't just have this as part of the meeting, so I can continue filming. Like,
It's more,
Hannah needs to think quietly.
we can't really propose anything like
People
in
need
a
time to
justified
think.
way unless we have a few minutes to really this is like a lot of money to give away, so it's kind of, we need a few minutes to think about it, maybe do some math, break it up a little bit. It's not to be secret.
Right, like,
How did you total equestrians? I'm sorry, I thought the amount, I didn't actually catch the amount.
the amount between what they allocated and
What they're appealing
or what they're,
20, 54.
the amount between what they were recommended and what they asked for was 1,954. So that's where I got the appeal amount from,
Okay.
for the total. Yeah, so there's a motion on the floor to move into a 3-minute recess. Is there a second? It's been seconded. All those in favor of moving into a 3-minute recess, please say aye. All opposed? Any? 1 nay. 2 nays. Any abstentions? All right, seeing if there are none, this motion passes. We'll reconvene in 3 minutes at 10:09.
Surplus. Yeah. That's all. That's surplus
But just have them like meet us like out right at the door for
Oh, yeah.
I think that maybe
Well, it's more so that it's like me manifesting. Yeah, and then like and it's like we can't keep a squad away. No, you take it so like that's one of the we don't, and on top of it, we give you guys like you can't go.
Andrew, Q-U-I-D-D-I-T-C-H. Thank you. I saw the dog.
I think this is a fair one.
Wait, you forgot the S. Just Asian culture.
So we'll become no, we're trying to go big projects. There's a subplot.
So we're saying 700 here, 15,000 here, saying 9,
And it's only for one day.
Rory, roll call, please.
Andrew?
Here.
Rory here, Rebecca not here, Ray here. Julia?
Here.
Sally?
Here.
Scott? Jennifer?
Here.
Aaron? Here. Will?
Here.
Tyler? Not here. Scott not here, Shaylin not here, Rebecca not here. Delight? Anna?
Here.
Sammy not here, Radhika? Not here, Chanel? Chanel, sorry. Brittany?
Here.
Alex? Here. Savannah?
Here.
Lauren?
Here.
Helen? Yeah. Kevin, not here. Nick?
Here.
Mike?
Here, I waited so long.
Alright. Alright, so, now we're gonna return to discussion. Hannah.
So after talking amongst ourselves, our proposal, is 700 to ACS just because they're a very large presence on campus and a huge portion of our population. Maybe 300 to Quidditch.
Can you give a specific amount?
200 to Quidditch. Just because we'd like to see more effort for fundraising and looking for other sources of funding. And it is a very new club. And there are a lot of opportunities to come into council for more funding. And then 940 to equestrian, because they have made such an effort to fundraise and that they do put in their own personal funds and they also have been turning people away. And then we'd like to do 1,000 for ESP just because they do such a great thing for the community and they do have a lot of people involved. You left up to 0. So if anyone has any thoughts on that.
Are there any points of discussion or any other suggestions, Mike?
I just don't, who's our, I mean, like, who,
We and Savannah and
so just, okay.
oh,
So-
just people.
Yes, Mimic, Plan, Hannah.
Oh, really?
Alright, are there any points of discussions or any other suggestions? Desiree?
Yeah, I don't know, I guess we're allowed to talk.
Yes.
Just so thing to be clear on, the budget that we're asking for right now is just travel. We are planning to fundraise for the rest of our costs, because we do have other costs. I mean, there are events we want to hold, equipment we're going to have to repair, et cetera, but essentially, we're asking just for travel right now. That's not even what we really wanted. Our original request to student council was $6,000?
Something around
Something
there.
around that. So we're going to be fundraising as it is.
Savannah?
So basically just, from being a finance committee member, our approach was that for each new club, their budget wouldn't exceed $1,000. And so obviously Quidditch, the budget already has exceeded that, and just to compare to like club tennis, they've actually had to cut down on their transportation and not go to a tournament because of lack of funds, and so it's just like, it wouldn't be consistent with what we have been doing if we were to allocate more funds.
And I mean, we appreciate that a lot, but just in terms of, so you already gave us $2,000 just for this past semester in the mid-semester budget request, because our first budget, we got recognized during mid-semester, but we've actually been around since 2011. It's just been a slow process getting approved as a club sport, and then we thought that our original board had gotten us student council recognized, but that turned out not to be true. So we're not, I mean, obviously we're new to you guys, and we appreciate that the budget process has to be slow, but we're just trying to stay above ground right now.
Hannah?
I would feel comfortable adding maybe a little bit to it. I do want to emphasize there are a lot of other clubs that do have to make the decision not to go to certain things. Like there's so many just because of funding, and those are clubs that have been around for a long time, have 30 people in them too. So it's just kind of, in the grand scheme of things, that's something we have to consider, and I do encourage you guys to come back to us as much as possible. But yeah, that's just my reasoning.
Speaking on the idea of, turning down events, that's not necessarily something we can really do as part of the conference, because as part of the conference, we have to be able to attend all of our games. Like, so just, not going due to lack of funds is not an option for us, because then we risk not being able to play at all because we'd be kicked out of the conference.
And I mean, obviously, we can come back for grant requests. That's how we ran all of fall. I don't know if you guys keep records of this stuff, but I was here like every other week during fall, getting us enough money to function during fall. And obviously, we'll do whatever we need to do to get that money again, but the more we have during the original yearly budget, the easier that makes our lives.
Right. Just a random question. Are you guys recognize that? I'm sorry, Stan's my roommate, so I know about the whole Quidditch thing. Are you guys recognized by IQA?
We're not yet. We're also not planning to this particular year because IQA has just upped their dues, which is now it's what, $250 per club plus $50 for every individual member of the club. And we feel, firstly, that that's way too much to ask you guys. Also, we don't want to pay it because that's ridiculous. The new $50 fee per person is for, there's an insurance policy and there's just tournament fees and yada yada, a lot of which we wouldn't necessarily be using. Also, because we're from Massachusetts, everybody already has insurance, so that would be a waste of money and actually a complication if anybody got injured. So we're not joining IQA this time because that incurs a lot more costs. There's also a ref payment we'd have to make every game. We would have to send people to get IQA ref certified, snitch certified. It's something that we're looking to do in the future, but at this point, it's not reasonable for us to do because obviously, too much money, too much effort at this point. It's not something that's feasible.
Are there any further points of discussion, Mike?
I want to Hannah mentioned giving more money to Quidditch. I was going to ask her the first question, which she can answer after, where would that money come from your other, from Plan Hannah? My recommendation would be maybe removing some from equestrian. We've had that discussion in the past, and we're actually making it again for a large amount of money for a small group of people, or a small part of park. Whereas ASP and ACS affect a large part of the Clark community, ESP the community as a whole, and ACS the Asian part of the Clark community, which is huge. Now, I don't believe, because of equestrians saying that they give us what anything that you can argument constitutes them getting more than someone who has an actual can budget out their needs, which I think Quidditch would be able to better, but that's up to
Okay. So first off, instead of getting down to the discussion of let's take money from one club to give to another, if someone has a new plan or a new idea, let's propose a whole new idea and then compare Plan Hannah versus new plan versus Plan 3. So that we have 3 different paths forward to take, and then we choose from which path we want to take forward as a group. Aaron.
Before we do that, I have a quick question, maybe Corey might know as well. Usually we have money left over in grants at the end of the year. If a club comes towards the end of the year and requests a budget, can they use that the following year? Because usually there's several $1,000s, and it might kind of solve the problem to come to grants, say 2 weeks before the semester ends, to get a budget request, because that money just goes away, and next year it's refilled. So you might as well use it for the clubs when at it, right? Yeah.
And
I think they would technically penalize for not using all of their money. That's just a thought.
Yeah.
Corey, would you like to answer this question.
There is a way of doing that that is far more complicated than just asking for that money the next year.
Yeah.
Because grants just goes into human surplus.
Yeah.
So they could do a waiver of going to the human surplus, the U-board would vote on whether or not to approve it, then the council would vote. It's a very long process, and usually it's only used for large events. Like last year when we did a whole other meeting on using the surplus. It's probably just easier to go through grants the next year if you need the money. Yeah. And the amount, I don't have it in front of me, but I doubt the amount is going to be that large. And usually near the end anyway, most groups just come to grants and use it up all in the last week, so you can't promise that there'll be a lot left for grants. So it's a good plan, but it's very complicated to try to do.
Are there any points of discussion or new suggestions for plans? Ray?
Alright, first, this is a new plan. This is for my recommendations, I would like to allocate 900 to Quidditch, 300 to ACS, 1,040 to equestrian, and 600 to ESP. And the logic behind this is, first of all, ACS got, right now, the 300, that's what they're requesting for. So like, that's basically since that's what they're requesting for, I think it's prudent for us to allocate that money to them. And they do hold a large presence on our campus, which I do concur with that 100% of the way. So by giving them 300 and not 700, like we are still funding them what they wanted initially. And that's, pardon? Oh.
Guys, just because this is a contentious issue, let's please have one person speak at a time. Everyone, can put their hand forward and will have an opportunity to speak. So, Ray, can you?
Yeah, I'm sorry if I got the calculation wrong, but we just subtracted from the recommendations and the amount requested. So if I got the calculation wrong, please correct me. For ESP, giving them 600, I thought was also prudent. And for the equestrian, I do really value their presence. Obviously, they want to get well known, better known than they are right now, and the fact that they fundraised this year, and that's been very great. And I'm advocating for them, and so that's why 1,040 I thought would be a reasonable number. And for Quidditch, just for the fact that, as I know, that Quidditch is basically a growing college sport right now. Some colleges already have a huge Quidditch team, and they're very competitive in it. I would like to see Clark to be on that level with other teams. Like the fact that don't like to bring other clubs into it, but the fact that we fund Model UN and what they are doing, how they're doing it, and how they're so successful at it, and how we're funding them, it's the great results are coming out. So I think we could do the same thing for Quidditch. And since they are a growing club, I think it would be great for us to fund 900 to them. And yeah, that's what we do.
Are there any points of discussion, Brittany?
I'd also like to ask someone from AC, what if we had allocated more than 300, what you would do with it, or are you set with 300?
I mean, like Brittany already said, we already technically got our initial request for 300, and it would bump up our budget to 2,000. But I mean, if we could get more than 300, like maybe 400 or 500, that would go a long way in terms of getting speakers to come. I mean, for example, we wanted to invite this transgendered Asian American comedian named Elliot. I think it was no, I forget his name, but yeah. And unfortunately, the amount he requested was $2,000, so we couldn't make that possible. I mean, an extra $100, $200 could make it possible for us to bring those people to come in, even if because it would offset a good amount. I mean, it might not cover the entire amount, of course, but it would, we could put money towards like a chunk of it. And the other thing is, it's hard because of course, we do go to student council, we do collaborate with other groups, but even if we request money, it's never guaranteed. And so that's why we want to have a good budget so that we can sustain ourselves on. And I think, honestly, I think we deserve it.
The thing with Quidditch is they have the events they need kind of already designated. They already have what they need is a finite amount, and they know it's going to go towards. Other groups, your events kind of happen throughout the year, as I understand that. And it's a lot easier for you to come to grants say you have an event in November or something, it's a lot easier for you to grant to say we need X amount of money. Instead with Quidditch, they kind of need, they need a set amount before the year starts to ensure that they stay in their conference yet. So I mean, I would be for granting Quidditch more money, and maybe some of the other groups a little bit less, just because they have events happening throughout the year. They don't need a set large amount of money right at the beginning, and there's always money in grants. We usually have leftover money, so that, yeah, I mean, I agree with this.
I have another plan, potentially, to put out there. This one, Will can present another plan, but if you'd like to speak to any other points that have already been brought up, we can do that next.
So this plan is more so given the money evenly, a little more to those I think we need it more. So it's 710, then we have 500, then we have 920, and then we have 710 again.
You want to be a little slower?
710, 500, 920, and then 710.
710?
Yeah, that adds up to the exact amount.
Okay.
Okay, are there any points of discussion, Hannah?
I have another plan. Amend my plan.
Okay, amend your plan, go for it.
Actually, wait, let me see. Okay, so new plan would be
Is this plan H prime or?
H1. Sometimes. Usually I mentor all. Unless somebody likes my first plan, I don't know.
Amending your first
Ethan likes my first plan. Okay, so new plan would be $650 to Quidditch.
$650?
500 to ACS. 740 for equestrian, and 950 for ESP. And the reasoning is, I get that Quidditch has costs already, and I do want to respect that and try and help you guys out as much as possible. And now I think I didn't realize that ACS had already appealed, so it sounds like they do have $500 that we can really use, and then I think ESP we really should fund just because it is such a good thing for Worcester as a whole and the Clark community, and there's so many people involved.
Question for Quidditch, and like I really can't explain, but I did the math on what you said. Like you said, you wanted $3,700. You needed that to compete to like officially join the conference. In that sense, does that mean you need $870 just to straight up enter? And I don't know if grants could like you have their budget or anything, but like is that what you?
I believe it was $862 to go from what we were recommended to what we need with 3,700.
Yeah, so that's to enter all of these like.
That's to make what is, as of right now, what our schedule is going to look like, along with the conference dues to run the conference tournament at the end of the year.
And the conference dues is just $100. The rest of it is strictly travel costs for the games that we know we're going to have.
And which includes the tournament at the end of the year. Yep.
Alex?
What are your initial dues? What do you need right at the beginning of the year to start off with? Is there, like, most of that is money that you're going to be spending on transportation that I'm guessing you don't pay to the conference. How much do you need right away to start off with for the conference for dues?
I mean, the conference dues are $100, but then every trip we're going to have to come here and request $400.
Okay.
And that's going to be, what, 9 trips?
We're looking at 9 away games at $400 apiece.
How much money, what you said it was at 800 is the difference, I think?
860.
860?
860.
PCF 300 for any,
None of them are home games. Our home games are free because we're just out on the green playing.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's fine.
But other clubs, anything on campus, please come to us for PCF. We'll gladly approve.
I mean, in the future, we might come and we were flirting with an idea of having Peapod narrate one of our games, and we might come to PCF
I
for
love that
that,
idea.
but
Um,
we'll deal with that next
I
year.
would also like to throw out also that we can easily approve more with grants later in the year. I mean, I know it would be great to approve as much as we can for you so that we have that set in stone, but there's a lot of grants money we'd be able to approve next year. So even if you have that 800 difference, it's very likely grants would easily approve that, along with other clubs.
All right, before we have any other points of discussion, I just want to make it clear that we're talking about allocating this $2,840 to these 4 clubs that have requested further funds. We can't really talk about next year because we can't set anything in stone because it's going to be a new people, new council, new amounts, everything is kind of open. So we have to keep our points of discussion germane to what the amount and the groups that we have right now. And that's what we have to decide tonight. Nick.
I just want to make one clearance and recommendations to a couple plans out there on board, especially Harness and Wills. If all of you remember, the ACS, if I'm correct, only asked us to grant them 300, while all of us, like 2 clients, grant 500. In this case, you have $200 extra sitting there, which will also be allocated to Quidditch, who also say they need this money to be fixed and setting their budget for club to exist next year. So my recommendation would be in both plans to move extra $200 around. Maybe we'll get some progress here.
Julia.
I have a question for the equestrian team. How do you guys spend your money? Does it go to stable fees? Does it all happen at once? Do you pay to do things throughout the year?
We use the money that we're given in our budget. Most of it goes to the barn to pay for our lessons and the coach's fee for each show. Then we use some of it for gas money. Some of it has gone to apparel to be more recognizable on campus. But that is a very minimal amount of our budget, and we put in money as individuals. We might subsidize our team jackets, maybe $10 per rider. But that's another $70 or so that we pay. And that also, the budget that we use from the school does not include show fees every week, which is either $30 or $60 depending on your level. Gas money could be $50 per car per show, plus how much is it per semester per car? Yeah, $50 per person per semester for lesson gas money. We also pay, we only ride once a week, which also makes it hard for us to be so competitive. So if we want or need extra lessons, we have to pay for that out of pocket. We have to pay for our own show apparel out of pocket, which can amount to thousands of dollars, depending on how much you spend on it. The least it can be is around $1,000 or $500-ish. But we have everyone pay that themselves. So the budget that we have from Clark mostly goes to our lessons and our shows.
And we are officially recognized, we pay dues each year as a team and individually to be part of the Intercollegiate Horse Show Association.
And we have a $250 fee for the IHSA, but which comes from our budget. But we have every member pay the $30, $45 for the 2 different memberships that we have to pay each year.
Thank you. Rory.
I just want to point out that Plan R, I guess, second one, everyone gets what they are asking us for, except for equestrian, but they're getting quite a bit, yeah, so they seem happy about it. So, Plan R, I don't really see anything wrong with it.
My contention with Plan R is just that it's not funding ESP as much as I would like, considering how broad that affects the community versus such a small team.
Aaron?
The one thing with ESP is their biggest event is at the end of the year, correct?
All right, this is why I wanted to kind of make a comment. So our biggest event is towards the end of the semester, yes, but
Towards the end of the year, yeah. It's coming up.
it happens twice. There are 2 splash events per year, one each semester, and this is in fact, it's not something like Quidditch where like we're required to have 2, but like we work with a nonprofit organization who helps promote and plan these at colleges, and the way they have it set up is that you do have to run, 2 equal events, once each semester. And the thing is, we want to expand beyond that, and so we're hoping to earlier in the semester do things like the lecture series and the stock market, which we're not sure if we can incorporate the stock market simulation into Splash. We're honestly not sure about that. And the thing is, the costs for that alone are $1,000. We do plan on, in fact, going to a PCF for that, but we don't want to have to like say, okay, can you give us 3 PCF requests for this one event? That'll come off as just like absurdly tacky. So we do in fact need the extra money, we feel, in our initial budget allocation, because we're hoping to like plan that from the beginning. It's also worth noting that because Splash's costs are preparatory in nature, we don't spend them at the end of the year. We spend them like, I'm right now spending the last $500 left in our $1,500 budget for this semester. Like, I have that currently in the process of being purchased. Like, the rest has already been spent. We spend lots of
What I'm
money.
saying is because you hold an event once each semester, you'd have to come to grants or PCF once each semester instead of like Quidditch 9 times. Yeah.
No, because I'm saying we're expanding to do other events earlier. So
you would have those, likely you'd have those in your budget at the beginning of the year, and you could come to grants the first week and say, here's our breakdown, this is what we want to do this semester, this is what we need, and we would go into that meeting knowing that we had this discussion and knowing that you need money at the end of this year, and then you would only have to do it once each semester instead of multiple times. So you would still get the money when you need it, and everyone would still get the funds. It would just be easier from this point forward. It would be easier to approve this.
I'm just saying that it makes life a lot easier for us if we have that guarantee.
Rory.
I'm holding everyone to what they said at the beginning of the meeting. They're asking how much they're feeling for. ESP said $600. I mean, obviously everyone here could use some more money. I think ESP does awesome things, but.
Yes, is there a point of discussion? Please put your hand up and like just put your hand up and you can speak like this.
I don't want to interrupt Rory, so Rory's going first.
That's fine. I mean, that's my point, is that, I mean, I'm just holding everyone to what, each club, how much you're feeling for. Question 2,000, ECS 300, Quidditch 900, and ESP 600. And I see those numbers up there. I think they deserve more money, but I think this is.
Well, that was kind of a minimum.
I think there's many places you're going to get the money, but it's not here right now. That's it.
Will.
I like Rory's point. I just want to say I think it's a good point.
Are there any further points of discussion or plans or anything? Rory?
We need a straw poll.
Right. So what we're going to do now is have a straw poll. It's a non-binding vote. We're going to vote on basically which 2 plans we like the most, then move on to discuss those 2 plans. So all those in favor of Plan H, which is the first one. What? Yes, it is. Yeah, just vote for one. This way we're able to, kind of get down to, one specific plan and debate or 1 or 2 specific plans and debate the merits of that. So everyone who likes Plan H, please raise your hand. So we got 3 for Plan H. Plan R. 2, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, and Plan W. 2, 3. I can double. No, you can't double vote.
I'd be good with people.
Alright, so that's 3. Alright, So seeing we have these 3-7-3 tie, everyone's gonna vote back comparing whether you favor Plan H or Plan W more.
For second place.
Yes, for second place. All right.
Like, can we take a
So, everyone
We're
is
just voting
voting
for second place, and then we're gonna.
Yes, this is your second place plan. It's like a tournament here. All right, everyone who likes Plan H as opposed to Plan Y, raise your hand. This is H more so than Y.
W.
Or W, yes.
Fine, your name starts with an Y.
Might be silent, I don't know. All right, Plan H. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 4.
5.
Oh, all right, I didn't see that hand there. That's 5. Plan W. 1, 2, 3, 4. 6.
Yeah.
Alright, seeing that Plan H got the lowest amounts of votes, we're now going to discuss the merits of Plan R versus Plan W, and hopefully be able to work between these two plans and get to some sort of consensus that we can all that we can work with. Thank you, Corey. Alright, so are there any points of discussion?
I think if you're really looking from a perspective of which groups affect the biggest amount with the largest population, people live at Clark and in the larger Worcester community, that Plan W definitely by allocating more to ACS and ESP has that as a plus.
Rory.
And I'll just do the Plan R, that's what everyone asked for. There we go.
Oh, Will.
So I take it that the main point of argument here is whether or not we should allocate money based on how many people it affects in the Clark community, or whether we should just allocate money based on what they appeal for. Okay, so I mean so that we stay relevant.
Now I cannot force you guys to consider anything. If that's a belief of which you hold, yes, you can choose to vote that way. I have to remain impartial in these proceedings. Yes, in the back.
Well, I would sort of like to make the point that although we are trying to represent Clark more on campus, having more funds would make that easier to do. But at the same time, at the past 3 shows, which included regionals, we were kicking butt, and we were competing against teams like Brown and URI, and we came in 3rd out of 10 at one of the shows. 4th, huh? Well, South, wasn't there. Technically 11. And 4th out of 10 in another one, and we placed 6 overall in the region out of 11 teams. And we've had the coaches of most of those other teams, especially URI and Becker, come up to us really impressed, saying, you guys are cleaning up today, you guys are awesome. So we are promoting a very good image of Clark off campus. Just to throw that out there.
Brittany.
If we're gonna talk to the plan of like one or the other, I think allocating what everyone really asked for, I don't see a problem with that, especially if you're talking about like reaching people. Like I've seen people say who are really disappointed that the Quidditch game was canceled on the green at home because they like wanted to go to it, and I feel like they had more funds, they could eventually become recognized with IQA. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that it would be helpful for them. I think like both plans do give a good amount of money to each club, but I think allocating what they ask for is very, very important, and I don't think it's fair for us to determine who does more and who does less. Like if it's a sheer number of people, it's not the amount of people on the team, but it's the amount of people that they're also reaching outside of the team. And I think Quidditch and also equestrian and ACS, like they all do a great job of that. So in ESP as well.
In the back.
I just want to make a quick comment. Not only does ACS serve the Clark community as a whole, but we also do a lot of work in the Worcester community itself. In the past 2 years, last year we raised $300. We had a I don't know, maybe you guys have heard of it, a karaoke and boba tea night. We raised $300 for the Southeast Asian Coalition. And this year, last month I think, we did the same event, and we raised approximately $100 to $200 for this Worcester Refugee Assistance Project, where they help Burmese refugees with like support and whatnot. So we definitely have overall like a presence in the community.
All right, are there any other points of discussion? Julia?
I have a question. At this point, are we not allowed to propose new plans? Is that true?
You can theoretically propose a new plan, seeing that we are in a caucus. The point of the first stage of it was to get all of the plans out there and then, kind of whittle them down. Like the point of building a consensus on a plan is to, start at one end and then have the other end and, meet, somewhere in the middle of that with a plan that works for everyone. But if you want to suggest another plan this time, you can, yes.
I don't have one right now. I was just
Okay.
wondering. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other points of discussion? Okay. Does anybody want to Hannah?
I think a straw poll before we move out of office.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna move into a quick straw poll here to see where everyone is leaning before we move out of caucus. And if anybody else, wants to propose any other new plans at this time, seeing that we're still in caucus, that can be done. So everyone who favors Plan R, please raise your hand. Plan R. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that hand raised?
Me?
Yes.
No.
5. All right. Everyone who is in favor of Plan R, please raise their hand high so we can tell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Everyone in favor of Plan W. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry. Yes, Will.
Okay, so since we're split, is there any way, can we take Nick's idea and maybe we take 200 from somewhere, or from multiple things, take 50 off, make 200 and just split it up?
If someone wants to
Compromise, let's amend the plan.
Hannah,
Okay. If we take.
let's propose a new plan. Let's not.
Sorry.
Okay.
Well, actually, no.
Jennifer.
Can I propose a new plan?
Yes.
Okay, so if we just, what I did with my plan was just, I try to divide up, I added those two amounts and I just try to divide up everything so everyone gets an equal amount. So Quidditch would get $805. ACS would get $980. Oh wait, no, I think I did something wrong.
You can think of that.
I think that's in the middle of the question, but
Well, can I just say how I feel about my plan? I just gave every club 500 to start with, and then I was left with two chunks of 210, and I just left ACS alone, gave 210 to Quidditch, gave 210 to ESMP, and then I gave question 2 times 210 because we had an extra one. Just because they wanted more money from the start, so I figured I'd give them $2. That's how I went about my plan. in case anybody wants to know.
Brittany,
I would like to propose a new plan.
Jennifer, do you have the numbers yet on your plan?
My plan's very similar.
It's very similar to this one.
I think it's like what you're getting, I feel like what you're getting at maybe what I'm thinking, but.
Yes, Brittany.
Can I propose it?
Yeah.
Okay, 870 to Quidditch. And I got there because it's basically, I did the math of what they would need to compete basically, and that's around a good amount. 400 ACS, 800 to equestrian, and 770 to ESC.
All right, are there any other points of discussion?
We're just calculating the last amounts. Can you just give us 2 seconds? Okay, the first one for Quidditch is $775. For ACS is $370. For equestrian, it's $1070. And then for ESP, it's $625.
So, can we discuss it? So, how we arrived at this number, we did that other.
Seeing that you're on judiciary, you should not be introducing or explaining a plan. You can give Jennifer suggestions, but seeing that you have to remain impartial in these procedures, you should not be involved in this process.
I'm not. I'm trying to explain her.
Oh.
Mike, just come over here, okay? No, I know. Before we get ourselves into trouble.
Jennifer.
Yeah, I just basically try to reach a compromise between Plan R and W, and that's all I did.
Will.
May I propose a poll, straw poll,
Right.
whatever it's called, to eliminate some of the.
Right. Alright, so we're gonna move into a straw poll.
Rory, can you talk for a second? Rory.
Yes, Aaron.
So, to me, a lot of this was like based on what Quidditch needs 840 basically, yeah, and that would be 2,000 split between the rest of the groups. The 500 to ACS, which was basically what everyone else said, 900 to equestrian, and 600 to ESP.
Alright, can you run through those numbers one more time?
Yeah. What you got? What is it? Yeah. Quidditch 840. Yeah. 500. 900. 600.
Alright, Hannah.
I suggested a straw poll, voting on them two plans at a time, otherwise we won't get clear majority.
What?
Does that make
Right.
sense?
Will.
Or we could just vote on, just vote and find out the top 3 and then go, just eliminate them. So,
Yeah, alright, so our straw poll is each person's gonna vote for their favorite plan, and we're going to keep the top 3 plans. And then work to build a consensus from there, because we're building farther away from something, and we can sit here and whittle this all day and change one here and one there, and we're only gonna get farther from the decision. So we need to start working towards some sort of central goal here. Alright, so we're gonna go through with Plan B first. Everyone in favor of Plan B, please raise their hand. Alright, so Plan B has 3. Plan R.
You can only vote once.
Yeah, you can only vote once. Plan R, no. Plan W,
You can change my vote.
no. Plan J, one vote. And Plan A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
That's it.
Yeah. So we can take down Plan R and Plan W are now out. Alright, so let's discuss the merits and detriments of these three plans and try to move forward on something here. Does anybody have any other points of discussion or motions they'd like to make? Anything, Lori?
So if everyone's like so insistent on giving PCS more money, which is cool, I'm down for Plan A. It looks good to me.
Yeah. Alright. Seeing that. Alright, seeing that we've, for the most part, built a consensus around Plan A, at this time I'd entertain a motion to end the moderated caucus, and then that way we could return to order and then introduce a motion to approve one of these plans. Hannah?
Motion to suspend the moderated caucus.
There's a motion on the floor to end the moderated caucus. Is there a second? Second by Jennifer. Are there any questions to the wording or points of discussion? Seeing that there are none, we're moving to voting. All those in favor of ending the moderated caucus, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing as such, the motion passes. Alright, so the moderated caucus is now over, and I'd entertain a motion if anyone wants to make one. Julia?
I move to allocate the $2,840 based on Plan A.
Alright, so the motion on the floor is to allocate $840 to Quidditch, $500 to ACS, $900 to the equestrian team, and $600 to ESP. Is there a second? Second by Jennifer. Are there any questions to the wording or points of discussion? Desiree?
This is just really technical, but you said allocate that amount, that's in addition to what we already requested?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah. That's why we went with the big motion first to approve everyone's base allocation. Yeah.
Gotcha, following on.
Alright, so all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Two noes. Are there any abstentions? Alright, seeing as such, this motion passes. Alright. Alright, so, in the spirit of last week's record time meeting, let's move through this in record time as well. Alright, so, thank you, Finance, for everything you guys have done this year, and thank you, everybody, for remaining civil and working well on getting to that point. We're going to move into student life with the organizational report. Alex.
Hey folks, we had 7 PCF requests this week, and we had, okay, so first we gave ISA $300 to pay for the UP coverage for the gala after party. Then we gave $300 to the Spree Committee for the police detail. We also gave $300 to Spree for better food. We did not give Spree money for water balloons and other such things. We gave Traditions Week $100 for scavenger hunt prizes. We did not give Spree any money for Jella wrestling, and we also did not give Spree money. We also did not give money to Spree for tie-dye. I've heard rumors that Spree might have found money elsewhere for Jella wrestling, so that might still be happening. But we are also running very low on PCF money, and we have I think 6 requests this week, so we'll just be playing tight with the budget. And this week we're working on office space allocations with Katie, so we're still trying to find a time for that, but we plan on doing that next week. And we also sent out already the office space allocation application. It's now an online survey that's easier for clubs to fill out instead of messing with a weird Word document. Katie and SLP and ITS created this awesome thing that they sent out to clubs, and so it should make it more efficient.
All right, awesome, good to hear. A lot of good stuff you guys are working on. Next, we're gonna move into the Judiciary Committee report. Nick?
Yeah, nothing to report.
Awesome. So we're gonna move into internal business and the operational report. The one thing that I have to report is ISA and people who are working on Gala are still looking for people to help volunteer. If anybody's interested in working security for that, let me know. Could be a lot of fun. I don't know. Maybe. I'm intrigued by it. Ethan.
If I may just make a comment, Splash has also been looking for volunteers. We're running on the 20th, and we need people to essentially herd the children around to help with student registration on the day of the event and to staff our makeshift cafeteria in Tilton. I know a lot of people here were expressing enthusiasm for what we do. As great as it is that you want to give us money, manpower is actually at this point more valuable for this semester, so I highly recommend you come to our site and go to the sign up to volunteer page.
All right, awesome. Next, we're moving into the Vice President's report. Rory.
Boston. Somebody.
All right, awesome. Next, we're moving into the Treasurer's report, right? Next, we're moving to the Secretary's report. Seeing that Rebecca's not here, we'll skip that. Moving to the Elections report. Seeing that Rebecca's not here, one quick thing is that we do have an election that's going to be happening tomorrow and Friday. So remember to remind your constituents to vote on link. Next, we're moving into the Communications Committee report. Hannah?
Okay, we are planning an event. It's like speed dating, but it's speed meeting, which is more inclusive and more fun. So we're going to be working on that, and if you're interested in helping, we need manpower, so join us. Or if you have any clubs that you think would be interested in co-sponsoring, not with money, but just with outreach, that would be great. And we also are going to be working on a contract with CCN to formalize how, because all that Ethan does is voluntary, and we want to make that expectations clear and hope make it a more continuous thing throughout the years. So that's what we're doing.
All right, awesome. Next, we're moving into unfinished business, and there's none moving into new business. Are there any, Will?
Just wanted to say, I met with Jenny Eisler about the SSF. We're picking new committee members for next year. We got wonderful 6 applicants, and we're working on adding a position to the committee because we feel that it is necessary. So we'll hear more about that next week. We're interviewing candidates next week as well.
All right, awesome. Are there any other points of new business? No. Will? Nick?
Just a reminder, next Wednesday is free day.
Right. Next Wednesday is free day. I don't want to meet that day. So we're going to be meeting at 9:15 here on Tuesday.
Wait, what?
Good point.
Oh, wait, really?
Yes. Yes.
I'd just like to point out that that's when the CCN meetings are, so unfortunately, I can guarantee that no CCN cameraman will be available.
This meeting will be real quick, so it does not need to be taken.
Is this one in your board from?
Yes. I think my next meeting is going to be pretty quick. Me and Rory will be our last meeting. Yeah. All right. Is there any other new business? Last words, motions? Yes.
The new webmaster will be coming next meeting to you guys. He's just being introduced. I'm still here until May. But I want to teach him what council is. You guys are awesome. So cool you guys see him.
Great. Any motions? Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor, adjourn, please say aye. Extensions, voting no. Great. Andrew. Yes.